We are very happy to welcome you, Naji, today. Naji is the Chief Operating Officer of Silver Falcon. And Silver Falcon is a construction company based in Qatar and is also our partner in the region and a Claris FileMaker software development expert in the region. Indeed, we co-organize this event. So this webinar is co-organized by Winsoft and by Silver Falcon. And Naji will be our speaker today. I will now shortly recall the content and the objectives of this webinar before I leave you the floor, Naji. So the goal today is, I would say, twofold. The first objective is that Naji can share his experience as a business owner that successfully digitalized his business processes and can tell you how he managed to do so and what benefits he obtained from this project. And the second objective today is to introduce the FileMaker platform to those who don't know it yet, and also to introduce the local ecosystem around the FileMaker platform in your region, so that you know how to get started with FileMaker, both in terms of getting the software itself, of course, licenses, but also in terms of contact points, support, and services to help you develop your own applications. And to match these two objectives, we'll have a 30-minute webinar today that will be divided into three parts. In the first part, it will be a 5-minute introduction to the FileMaker platform, including a short video and an introduction from Naji. In the second part, Naji will share his experience, tell you the Silver Falcon story around FileMaker, and explain why and how they digitalize their business processes and what results have been achieved. And this will last 10 minutes. And finally, the third part will be a demo of Silver Falcon's application so that you better understand the kind of features that you can get and you can set up with FileMaker, and also so that you can have a first overview of the developer's interfaces. And this part will last 10 minutes as well, which will leave us 5 minutes at the end of the session for a Q&A session. And regarding your session, by the way, we kindly ask that maybe you don't ask them during the presentation in order not to interrupt Naji during his presentation, but instead we invite you to write your question in the chat section of the webinar. If you look at your interface, you've got an icon on the top right, which is representing a speech bubble, like in cartoons. If you click on this icon, then you will access the chat section and you will be able to type your questions here. So once Naji will be done with his presentation, we will read the questions and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So, well, that's it basically. So thank you. And now I think it's time to start. So Naji, I will leave you the microphone and let you introduce yourself and start the presentation. I will give you the right to share your screen as well. I will do it just now.
Thank you, Goya, and welcome everyone. Today, we're very excited to share with you our success story and how FileMaker helped us go paperless and access our data in real time, how we did it all in-house without an IT department, how we did it in a fraction of the cost and time compared to larger organizations. Let us start with a brief video introducing Claris FileMaker.
Your team isn't a workaround. Enterprise systems manage critical tasks, but can't help you reach your team's goals. Your appliance apps do important things like file sharing and accounting, but appliance apps can only take you so far. Progress has stalled, and the technologies you use to manage your business have reached their limits. So how do you solve it? Introducing FileMaker, the world's leading workplace innovation platform. It gives you everything you need to solve your ever-changing business challenges. With FileMaker, you can design and create custom apps for your business, share your apps so your team can work anywhere, and integrate your apps with software services and IoT devices. Now, breakthrough technology is accessible to everyone. Unleash your ideas and your expertise to streamline workflows, solve problems faster, and improve your business. Whether you choose to build custom apps yourself or with a trusted advisor, FileMaker can help you start innovating your own way. FileMaker, the problem solver's problem solver.
So for those of you who are new to the FileMaker platform, licensing starts at 5 users and it comes with everything you need to create a custom app, share it, and access it, and also integrate with other sources. The first thing out of the box you'll get to create an actual custom app, we use FileMaker Pro Advanced. That will allow you to do it either on Windows or Mac, whatever your preference is. Once you've created the actual app, we use FileMaker Server to share it, either in the cloud or in your premises, offices, or other locations. Once we've done that, we can access it using FileMaker Go, either on the iPad or iPhone. You can even use FileMaker Direct to run the app on a web browser. If you have any questions about that, please shoot them into the actual chat and Guillaume will read them out and we'll answer them for you at the end. Moving on, let me explain the challenges we had and the solutions created to solve those challenges, and then eventually the actual benefits we got from using the FileMaker platform. So Silver Falcon has a heavy equipment division, and it's actually growing at a quick speed, and it's becoming very challenging to manage. On top of that, we have an antiquated paper-driven processes. To add to the complexity of that, they're coming from multiple sources of data. You can see here, we have our operator who will fill in his timesheets. We will send out drivers and vehicles to bring these timesheets back to the office. We have our client who's also confirming and filling their own timesheets, and then we need to cross-reference these together to build them. On top of that, we have the mobile maintenance team. They're generating a lot of paperwork and sheets, forms that have to be managed back and forth. And lastly, we have the actual machine itself. It's sending out lots of telemetric data. Our accounting department has to log into this portal and produce reports to pull this information out for that data. The solution we came up with, we needed to centralize all these data sources, and we did a mashable dashboard thanks to FileMaker. We used the FileMaker platform to use the smart devices to collect the actual timesheet data and all sorts of other data that we need in real time. FileMaker gave us the ability to host it securely on the cloud so we can access it from anywhere in the world. And the benefits we got back is that it allowed us to go paperless and real time. So there's no more delays or manual filling in of these forms or manual re-entry back at the office. And the operator's happy, they're getting their overtime, not 1 month late, they can get it with the payroll. We're happy that we're able to actually invoice the client a lot faster. And we are so pleased with the return on investment. We are actually saving over 50,000 annually with this solution. And the best part of it, it only cost us 10% of the savings. There was one additional thing I'd like to mention. When the global pandemic came along, it created turmoil everywhere in the world. I'm sure all of you here have got a story to tell about how it's impacted you and your businesses. I'll save this story for the live demo. I will demonstrate the biggest saving we actually made was with FileMaker on this topic. This is the custom app that we actually built. As all of you might know or don't know, we're hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2022. So we decided to put that information in our app right up there. So in scheduling, we know when D-Day's arriving. So we have, since our machines are working on these FIFA projects, we needed to know always where we are in the actual delivery process. The first task we tackled in this demo, I'm going to cover 3 areas out of many why you should invest in a FileMaker platform. The first one being is that It allowed us to bridge the gap between our day-to-day data that we use and bridge it up to an enterprise system. I'll show you that first. Our accounting department had to log into an enterprise system and pull the information report that they need. And this was a 6-step workflow. We managed to miniaturize that into a 1-step. And we did it with FileMaker. So step 1, they would enter their email address. Step 2, they would enter their password. And then step 3, they would click on the sign in. And at this point, I'll just jump over to the live demo of the custom app we built for you. So they would arrive at this screen here. And then they would need to go to step 4, top left corner, click on the menu button, and then go down to the machine link, and that's step 5, click on that, and that will take them to the next page. And from here, they would select the machine they want and click on that to go to the actual page they need. So that's 6 steps. What we did is we webhooked it with no code, and now they can just simply click on the next machine. So I've got number plate 24298, and instead of logging in and doing those 6 steps, I can just step through the machines that quickly and that easy. Obviously, when I'm at the machine, I can go and do all sorts of stuff that they need, like utilization. And they can see this is live information. So this machine is actually on right now, working. I'm not sure, they must be requested because of a deadline, because today is a holiday, so that's overtime. So this is good to find. They can find things like the current battery and so on. So how did we do that with just a webhook and no code? Let me explain. In FileMaker, we simply go up here, click on Edit Layout, and we have this wonderful thing called a web viewer. And you can create a web viewer simply by moving over to this toolbar up here, this button, the green world. By the way, if there's lots of tools up there that are very powerful, and you can see it'll just tell you this is the web viewer. And for instance, this is the tab control, which we'll talk about later. If I double click on this web viewer, it's actually a fully fledged web browser. So it's built into FileMaker. And look how easily I can actually, I will select our link. I will go up to edit. I will cut it out. Now I'm just going to jump over to a web browser. And our maintenance team requested a part from the US, it was DHL. So if I just go to the DHL, this is another enterprise system. We put in our tracking shipment. We click on fetch, and you can see the part was shipped last week from Miami. It arrived in the office, and I'm assigned for it. If I now click inside here and just simply drag and drop this link into our web viewer, I click OK, I exit the layout, and I save. And this is how we did it with webhook and no code or zero code. It was as simple as that. And now I can actually have that data. This part belongs to this machine. It's an LCD computer board. And now we can have alongside the information you need. Let me just explain. There are many services that you can access. So if you're looking at this, say, I am not actually in the construction business. Well, actually, if you're, let's say you're in hospitality, you can use the webhook to go into Airbnb. If you are in transport, taxi, you can use the webhook to link up to Uber, or I think it's called Rafiq, or Carwa. So there's multiple things. If you're in the food industry, you can just hook it up to Talabat. Obviously, there is an impact in your industry, and you can use it for whatever your category of industry is. So I'm just going to put my web viewer back and paste. What we did here is we just created a simple field called website and another field called machine ID, which has the UUID, which is the universal unique ID. And we just put these two fields in here and join them with an ampersand to tag it in. And now our web viewer is talking to our enterprise system that we were on earlier. As an additional benefit, let's say I didn't have this plate number here and I needed some information from here. The viewer is fully interactive. I can just simply double click, there you go. I can just simply grab and drop information just like that inside FileMaker. And because we placed the URL of the link in a field and the machine ID in a field, you then get unique URLs that are being generated by FileMaker to fetch whatever data you need. And that's the web viewer, one of the most powerful features in FileMaker. Just check my time, okay. I'll just move quickly on to how we went paperless. So we created a tab control window here. If we go to the first one, you can see you have all sorts of data here. We are now, so we can click on here, and for instance, this is information that was stored in files and it took hours to go and fetch and bring. So that's the QID, the work permit for this operator, and we call them Elvis Presley. That's his passport, and that's his driving license. HR loves this tool because now they can simply go and click on the find button up here and go and say, I want to know, I'll start typing QID. It knows I want a QID, so it auto-senses that. I click in the expiry field. I click on my operator, say, get me everything that's less than today's date, current date, and I click a perform. And instantly, it told me it found 1 out of the 10 operators that's actually, this QID has expired 2 days, 3 days ago. What's powerful about FileMaker is you can simply, if you prefer working in a spreadsheet layout, we have a view called table, and there's the one operator. If I click here, show me all the other operators who are not actually expired, and there you go. We're instantly, it can cater for whatever you want to do. So that was a quick, brief introduction about how we use paperless. But the other thing we had is, if we move back to the presentation, when we were surprised by, this is the biggest saving that FileMaker gave us. Everywhere in the world, countries went into lockdown, and we were no different. We started our lockdown in March, and all the governments were trying to figure out how to do contact applications and figure out who's infected, who's not infected, who to quarantine, etc. Qatar's solution was to produce an app called Digitalize, and they made it compulsory for all residents in the country. So if you went to the hospital, tested positive, you'd be marked red. If you were in quarantine, yellow. If you're suspected, gray. And if you're okay, green. And they made it law. When we came out of the actual 3 months lockdown in June, we went immediately to our clients because we're hurting. We have payrolls, we have overheads, and what's worse, in construction, we have liquidated damages and so on. So we wanted to restart work immediately. Our clients said, no, we don't know what's happening. We went away for 2 days and we came back after 48 hours with our COVID-19 mitigation plan. And the key behind it was FileMaker. What we did is we created an actual control panel. This is at the time when all these apps, Google was producing one, Apple was producing one, and no one knew when they were available. And we decided we can't take another month or two with payrolls without furloughing and releasing people, and that would just create a very tough situation for the company. So we created 4 simple fields. We told all our operators in our plan, we presented it to the client, they loved it. In fact, they gave it to their health and safety, and immediately they said, yep, you're approved, you can restart. Then they went to their other contracts, say, well, this is how Silver Falcon is doing it. And then it took them 2 months to do this. So we were up out of the gates in 1 month. And let's say the client had a contractor who has reported positive. This protected the company. First, it saved us 2 months of payrolls. Second thing it did is that we simply click on the perform file. We type in, let's say, the 22nd last month. Somebody tested positive on the Lusail site. Click find. And instantly, it told us we have 7 operators who were there. We can send them immediately to quarantine, protecting the other 3. So we don't have to shut the whole division down. Our income is fully protected. I think it's 12:27. I was going to show one more thing. Should I do that, Guillaume, or shall I just go to questions?
Well, how much time do you need? 2-3 minutes?
2-3 minutes, yeah. So
let's
let me show you how.
Because I think it's interesting. If you can go ahead.
Okay, very quickly. Account departments wants to know where this machine is working, when it was mobilized, when it was released, and how many days it worked. Very easily, just click on Edit Layout. I click in here. Right here at the field. So we type in projects. And then we click again and call it mobilize. Change that into a date type. Click again, release. And then all I have to do to place them in this area is just select those 3. I'll say the placement I want it to be horizontal. And because there's no space, labeled names. So this is how easy. Watch how these blue marker lines, guidelines, tell me where to put it. And then I just want them to stick to the right of the page. And one last thing, since I'm here, I want these 2 because they are date. I'll select drop down calendar and I'll include an icon to help me out with dates. And then click on exit, save, and that quickly I can say this machine now is working at the Hamad Port project. And I can select the date it started, let's say Tuesday. I can select the date it finished on the 15th. And now one last thing, they wanted to know how many days it worked. Well, that's easy. Click on Edit Layout again. Come over here. Click Worked Days or Days Worked, it doesn't matter. And click on Calculation. And I would select the release field. I want to minus the mobilization date, and I want a number return. And just for beautification, I can actually add the ampersand and say days. I'll do some cool thing here. I will go to my tooltip, and all I need to say now is just display for me this field, work days, when my mouse hover over the project. So it's not seen all the time if you have a client, he doesn't know how. So that could be pricing, could be, but look what happens when I hover over here. I've got my 14 days. And if I change the date to something else, like 2 months before, the system will actually update for me 75 days. That's all I wanted to show you. I'll just jump back to the questions and answer. So, Guillaume, do we have any questions?
Yes, well, first, thank you very much, Naji, for this, I would say, very practical and precise demo. I really hope that everybody enjoyed it and could see some specific examples that could be interesting for your businesses as well. Yes, we've got one question from Geoffrey, which, I mean, concerns the core of the presentation, which is the savings that you actually got from your application. So maybe could you elaborate a bit more about the manual processes that you were able to suppress thanks to the application, and so the time that you saved and the money that you saved thanks to the application?
Yes, I have a real life example where one of our vehicles that was driving to pick up the timesheets was involved in an accident, and it cost us around 15,000 that's 15,000 riyals to sort that situation out. The other areas that we were saving is where before we had to print stationaries for timesheets and so on. We're saving on printing. We're saving on the time that it actually takes to enter an actual data and re-enter it. And if there's a human error in there or any error in invoicing, etc., that's all costs money. So over the time alone, we figured out we're saving about 2 weeks a year just in vehicles driving back and forth. That's petrol, mileage on the cars, maintenance in the car, and the list goes on and on. If you'd like, I can actually speak to my accountant who actually sat down there and added it all up. And yeah, we can provide you with some. If you're in Qatar, we'd be happy to bring out FileMaker and do a demonstration on premise in your environment so you can see the benefit of it and see your calculation. I will tell you one thing. With the Ihtiraz app, okay, we had 55 people on the payroll. If we didn't go back to work that month, that's just use your scenario. What do 55 people in your organization cost you on payroll alone, and the other overheads like accommodation, transportation, etc., etc., etc.? I hope that sort of helps you out. The question.
Okay, so well, thank you for those additional information. Geoffrey, does that answer your question? I just activated your microphone if you want to to say a word.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I just put in another question as well for Naji. When you're saving on the timesheets, are your operators filling in data into FileMaker from mobile devices?
Yes, this is the part that I wanted to show, but obviously my CEO did not want to share this sensitive information because there's information, etc. Yes, they are using. We're moving to using iPhones on their while they're actually on site, and we're actually implemented the Ihtiraz part as well on there, so they can upload the screenshots every day. Obviously, there's a supervisor who verifies that, and they take the temperature and they upload the actual screenshot until the government's ready to give us an API to actually connect to the backbone of that. But we haven't seen that yet, and I don't think it will be coming for a while.
Okay. So, well, thank you. I think time's up now. But in case you may have additional questions, feel free to send them to me by email, and we'll try and answer them when you send you all a thank you email after this meeting, where you will be able to find our details. So you're able to contact Amina, Naji, or myself. And also there will be a link to the replay of this webinar in case you want to watch it again or share with your colleagues. So, well, basically that's it. Finally, also, if you're interested and wish to go further with this, what we shared today and with the FileMaker application, we can also suggest you to connect to the Winsoft International website, where you will find the capacity to download a free trial of the FileMaker software for those of you who are, let's say, beginners to this platform, so that with this free trial you can get started. And then we strongly encourage you to get in touch with Naji to get some support or consulting around your digitalization journey and your FileMaker journey. And of course, don't hesitate to contact Amina or myself as well. We will be very happy to give you more information about our activity. So, well, to conclude, on behalf of Amina, Naji, and myself, I would like to thank you again for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. We will organize other webinars in next year, so we hope you will be present as well. And well, Thanks everyone, and now we wish you a very pleasant day. Thank you.